Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 359 based on novel. So let's start. On a life planet within a domain of the human territory, a hunchbacked and green-skinned elderly human who sported an antenna on his head stood in one of the back alleys of a bustling city, addressing a drunken human youth. The green-skinned elderly human said in a hoarse voice, "My child, you are so young, so full of vitality. You have such a bright future ahead of you. Are you so void of fighting spirit to want to drink yourself into a stupor like that?" The drunken youth slouched against the wall while seated on the ground, his eyes filled with sorrow. He shook his head and said, "Hopeless. All hope is gone. I have racked my brains to think of ways to contribute my best, but they were simply too strong. In this city, they may not be the strongest, but they are still in a different league where ordinary, lower-class people like myself are defenseless. They have been trifling with my feelings, teasing me but not killing me. To them, I am just a toy. Life is full of miracles," the green-skinned old man said hoarsely. "Nothing is unchanging. The universe is always so mysterious and unpredictable. Anything is possible. Is that so?" The wasted youth looked at the old man, then lowered his head to indulge in his beer. The old man smiled and nodded. "Yes, anything is possible." Slightly taken aback, the youth sat in a daze, the beer bottle in his hands. The smile on the hunchbacked elderly's face widened, and within 5 short seconds, the wasted youth snapped out of his daze. He looked around with piercing eyes as sharp as an eagle. There was a vigor in him that had been absent before. Scanning his surroundings with due vigilance, he saw the ordinary back alley and the hunchbacked old man before him. His expression registered disbelief. I, he stammered. "How can I be back to where I was 100,000 years ago? I am already a sector lord. How can it? This is an illusion, but how can an illusion feel so real?" But, my child," the hunchbacked old man started to say. You are," the youth said. He stared at the hunchbacked old man and recognized him. "You are the old man who provided me guidance back then." "Back then? Wasn't it just a little while ago?" The hunchbacked old man smiled, then vanished into thin air. The youth stood rooted to the spot for a long time. The wasted youth looked around and manipulated his willpower with his mind. Domain. His spiritual force might not be strong, but it was comparable to that of a sector lord. Under the guidance of his willpower, he managed to produce a weak, flame domain. Really, all of this is real? Everything that happened is real. Is it true that I have cultivated up to the stage of a sector lord? But why am I back to the most painful time of my life? Have I traveled back in time? No. The youth was different from before. He had cultivated the heart of a great being. Even if I could turn back time, I would still be unable to travel to the past. That is to say, I have experienced an illusion. But what illusion is this, where I can live in it for 100,000 years? And become a sector lord? And to have comprehended part of the universe laws? Eyes widened in fear, the drunken youth looked around him and shouted repeatedly, "Senior! Senior! Senior!" However, there was no one around. The youth shook his head. "What a pity, I missed a great opportunity. If I had followed that elderly man, I think it would have been easy to become undying. This is simply unbelievable. However, I have gained quite a fair bit, too. Those bastards. I have killed you all in my illusion before. I shall let you face desperation once again." Thereafter, he left the back alley. Ho, the hunchbacked, single-horned elderly was still in the same spot. Seeing the wasted youth leaving, he smiled. From the beginning, the hunchbacked elderly had not moved an inch. However, if he wanted to be seen, he could make himself appear. If he did not want to be seen, the other party would not be able to see him. A forceful power transcended the limitless space and suddenly landed on this planet in the back alley. The surrounding space became slightly distorted. An elliptical black sphere appeared in the back alley, and it spoke. "Stone, you are a devil master," the black sphere said. "Even universe masters fear you, and yet you are in the mood for helping this young fellow." The hunchbacked old man grinned. "If you want me to kill, I shall kill. If you want me to rescue, I shall rescue. If you want me to bestow, I shall bestow." If earlier on, in the back alley, that young fellow had knelt and pled earnestly, if he had asked to see me, I would have killed him right away. The hunchbacked old man turned to look at the elliptical black sphere and said, "Automaton, this is the human territory. What purpose does your conscious mind have for being here? There is something going on." The elliptical black sphere was hovering in mid-air. The surrounding space was very unstable. Indistinctly, the request could be heard, "I am engaging you to kill a young fellow." "Is he strong?" the hunchbacked old man said. "The human, Luophone," the elliptical black sphere said. "Luophone?" The hunchbacked old man nodded. "I know that young fellow. When he just returned from Universe Ocean, news about him was widely spread and sought after. No wonder you are here. You automaton race, bug soldiers, and demons are all after him. Tell me, where is he now?" "The Ancestral God School, Redbud Island," the elliptical black sphere said. "The Ancestral God School." The old man was no longer as calm and laid back. His eyes focused on the black rays flashing faintly. "Automaton, I am not bothered about huge acts. I am happy to kill that young fellow for you. But if he is in the core grounds of the Ancestral God School, asking me to kill a candidate of theirs while he's on the grounds of the Ancestral God School is a suicide mission. I've heard that the Ancestral God School has bestowed him with valuables, which shows how much they value him. I have helped you before." The black sphere transmitted its voice from afar. "This time, we can call it quits. I owed you one." The hunchbacked elderly replied in his hoarse voice, "All right, you have my word. Tell me all the details you know about him." "The power of a top-tier universe overlord's godly body would probably be comparable to the rare special life forms, and he has the talent technique of dividing bodies," the black sphere continued. "Just annihilating one of his godly bodies is useless. You need to penetrate the soul, and bring all the godly bodies to complete destruction. Or you can make use of soul control. But the difficulty of using soul control is obviously much higher. Stone, you are Universe Supreme Master of the School of Illusions. If you are unable to succeed, then no other great being in this primal universe would be able to." "All right, I will set off now," said the old man. "I know all of you must be waiting so impatiently. I will be waiting for good news then." The elliptical black sphere replied. The two disappeared together one after the other. A slight tremor shook the surrounding space, then everything resumed normality. The ordinary humans of this city were completely unaware of everything that had just happened. In the Ancestral God secret region, in the void space surrounding five-color Aurora Lake, an entirely black life form was standing in the void space. There was a black aura surrounding it in winding paths, enveloping his entire being. Only a pair of black eyes could be seen, albeit indistinctly. The human Luophone? Meriting a Universe Supreme Master to engage another Universe Supreme Master to kill you. You should be proud of yourself. Redbud Island. Luophone's mansion was designed like a Jiangnan garden, boasting features like small bridges and rivers, airy pavilions, and pagodas. Luophone was seated at the table of one of the pagodas, sipping wine as he pondered the beast god path. He really enjoyed the peaceful days where he could devote himself to cultivation wholeheartedly, yet he knew that in the Ancestral God School, he only appeared to be safe and sound. But as time passed, bug soldiers, demons, and the automaton race alike were losing patience. As they watched him grow continuously, how would the other three pinnacle races take it lying down? They would definitely find a way to take him down. As for him, he had the talent technique of dividing bodies, and if it was only a material attack on one of his bodies to annihilate it, they would not achieve the result they wanted. If they wanted to attack, they would definitely focus on his soul. They could either permeate his soul and perish as one with it, like how Soaring Star Master had died, or they could try controlling his soul. With his original Earthling body making such an apparent appearance, Luophone did not dare to act rashly. The Soul-type True Treasure Tower Pearl and the Pinnacle True Treasure Force Armor were always with him. Force Armor also had the ability to weaken attacks on his soul. Most importantly, ordinary weaker kinds of Soul-type True Treasures would shatter when being attacked by other Soul-type treasures. But Tower Pearl was the core control center of Star Tower, and it could recognize its master. Even Supreme True Treasures could not cause it to shatter. Its defense level merely matched up to an ordinary True Treasure, but it was definitely trustworthy. Tower Pearl and Force Armor, in addition to my willpower and consciousness which were at the level of a Universe Master, Luophone calculated to himself. His massive godly body and limitless godly power had given him a powerful consciousness. Countless ordeals, changes of life and death inheritances, and 180 million years of cultivation had brought his willpower to the level of a Universe Master. He could count on these advantages. Luo Feng was certainly confident enough. While holding his wine glass, Luo Feng pondered the beast god path. Suddenly, he looked up at the sky and became aware that something was not quite right. The moment he looked up at the area in the sky that was enveloped by the five-color aurora lake, a figure surrounded by a limitless black airflow suddenly appeared. Shrouded as the figure was by the airflow, Luo Feng's view of him obscured. Only a pair of eyes could be seen. And what a pair of eyes it was! Just one look at them was enough to make Luo Feng shudder. Not good. The shudders ran deep within him, right down to his very soul, and Luo Feng understood in an instant that this was a feeling of powerlessness he had only felt in the face of Star Ancestor and Sitting Mountain Guest. It's a universe supreme being? Luo Feng realized. Intangible attacks were launched. Peng. 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 300 feet above Luo Feng, a gigantic crack suddenly appeared in the sky. Wrong, it was not a crack. It was an impact brought about by the collision of two spaces. All time and space in the surroundings of the figure enveloped by the black airflow fell under his control. Even the universe laws were dismissed. The figure enveloped by black airflow was in total control over everything. And similarly, the lower space was also being controlled. One up, one down, these two spaces collided at a mere 300 feet away from Luo Feng. It was a scene more frightening than the collisions of planets. When the two spaces collided with one another, the two strong powers manipulated their own space. Wherever the two spaces collided, a crack would appear. What? Luo Feng gasped. Luo Feng was stupefied. His power far surpassed that of top-tier universe overlords and was comparable to universe masters. His willpower and consciousness were also extremely strong, so he could instantly conclude that in the lower space, there was another Universe Supreme Master. Two Universe Supreme Masters? Fighting each other? Luo Feng was at a loss for a reaction. The skies above the five-color aurora lake were in a furious frenzy. It was Luo Feng's first time witnessing how turbulent the lake could become. What was happening to the vast five-color aurora lake was a sight resembling that of heavenly lakes collapsing in an instant. Abundant rays of light came swooping down toward the space below, surging at the black, misty figure. The black, misty figure did not budge an inch. Instead, a furious roar of rage was heard. Ancestor God, the figure roared. Are you going to stop me? Virtual Real Devil Master, a booming voice replied. This is the territory of my Ancestral God school. Ancestral God? Luo Feng looked to where the voice came from. A being flew up from an ordinary palace close to his palace. It was a great being of another race that was dozens of feet tall and had 6 arms. He was in human form with thick legs, but he had a face on each side of his head. The face at the front looked amiable with a smile, yet the one at the back was dark and fierce. Each of his 6 arms was grasping a short stick, and there were 4 sections on each stick, making them look like parrying daggers from earth. 3 of the parrying daggers were black while the other 3 were white, and power flowed around each parrying dagger. Ancestral God is living beside me? Luo Feng was startled. He had been practicing on Redbud Island for 62 years and hadn't known that the Ancestral God was living beside him until now. The amiable face of Ancestral God looked at the sky, and his voice was transmitted from the space and time under his control to the space and time under Virtual Real Devil Master's control. Virtual Real Devil Master, get out, he said. I'll pretend that you were never here. Ha ha. It's double-face Ancestral God, said Virtual Real Devil Master. You dare to be so arrogant in front of me. Humph. I've never given a damn about your so-called Ancestral God school, and I always go wherever I want. Who can stop me? I'll kill that human Luo Feng today, and you won't be able to stop me. The space and time controlled by the being in the black mist were pushed down after his gloating. The power from the space and time controlled by Devil Master was stronger. Double-face Ancestral God looked up, and the space under his control also surged. When the two universe spaces clashed against each other, the five-color aurora lake started to launch attacks. All the auroras shrank and merged together, forming a golden pillar. The universe space controlled by Virtual Real Devil Master was slashed as if there were a gully. No wonder it's a supreme true treasure. Luo Feng looked up and was awed. That universe space is completely under the control of Virtual Real Devil Master, and even universe operation law has backed off. It's more incredible than the control on time and space by universe masters, and it's still powerless under a supreme true treasure. The golden pillar dashed down, and a dark space gully extended toward Virtual Real Devil Master. Ha! Virtual Real Devil Master suddenly looked up, and black mist permeated. 5-color Aurora Lake? Scram! Virtual Real Devil Master roared, and armor appeared that trembled the surrounding space. It was a mysterious suit of armor with bloodstains on it. The armor integrated with each inch of the sky of Virtual Real Devil Master. A dark hollow that was more than 30 square feet appeared. The golden pillar kept bombarding Virtual Real Devil Master, but the armor withstood it. Each inch of the space sparked like fireworks. The universe space controlled by Virtual Real Devil Master crumbled into particles, yet the space controlled by the Ancestral God was stable. Luo Feng saw Virtual Real Devil Master clearly. Virtual Real Devil Master fell a little bit and the golden pillar was dissipated. Ha ha ha. I have a supreme true treasure to protect me. Virtual Real Devil Master said. Nobody in the universe oceans can kill me. Let alone you, double-face ancestral god. He followed this sentiment by recklessly roaring, universe space, break. The being in black mist dove, and his right foot stamped and ground. His right foot wore an ancient boot, which obviously was a component of a supreme true treasure. The ancient boot twisted the time and space under its impact. The flow of time was in disorder, and space was cracked. The space controlled by Ancestral God was also cracked, as he wasn't able to resist that attack. Virtual Real Devil Master, you're being outrageous. Double-face Ancestral God switched faces. The dark black face moved to the forefront and glared at Virtual Real Devil Master. He roared in anger and flew up. Each of his arms was carrying a parrying dagger. With the daggers being waved, 3 black airflows and 3 white airflows were formed. They were combined and formed a complex black and white airflow picture. The picture gushed, and the right foot stamped down. The moment they touched, the power of the supreme true treasure Virtual Real Devil Master was carrying and the power all the 6 pinnacle true treasures carried by Ancestral God was merged. The attacking ability of the protection true treasure Virtual Real Devil Master had was only an accessory, and the attacking power of it was not much different from the true treasures Ancestral God had. Virtual Real, get the hell out! All 6 arms of double-face Ancestral God waved, and the attacks from each parrying dagger overlaid with each other, making them more powerful. The universe spaces controlled by them were trembling. Luo Feng could feel the space around him trembling. He wanted secretly to run away. However, it was safest for him to stay in the time and space controlled by Ancestral God. Besides, 2 universe supreme masters were fighting, and the space and time controlled by them were unstable. He wasn't able to leave using God Country transportation. I can't even run away, he thought. There's a universe supreme master trying to kill me. Luo Feng gazed at the fight between the 2 universe supreme masters in the sky. Although the fight only affected the spaces controlled by them, the spaces were sometimes dismantled and became particles. And sometimes, the particles gathered again. He could feel how terrific it was. Virtual Real Devil Master was using a supreme true treasure. Ancestral God was using 6 black and white parrying daggers. Perhaps universe masters could be killed. Virtual Real Devil Master, don't blame me. 5-color Aurora Lake. Ancestral God roared. 5-color Aurora Lake, which had been only partly utilized, immediately shrank. It was the guarding true treasure of the Ancestral God School that covered several square light years. But now, it was shrinking. All the auroras shrank to the size of rice grains, then formed a giant, 5-colored blade. Cut. The 5-colored giant blade slashed down. The 6 parrying blades slashed at Virtual Real Devil Master again. Damn Ancestral God! Damn you! Virtual Real Devil Master bellowed. He needed to defend himself from attacks from the 5-color giant blade and the 6 parrying daggers from Ancestral God at once. He wasn't able to handle them at the same time and got hit several times, which consumed his godly body. You pushing me? Virtual Real Devil Master raised his head and roared. Arth! The space around him cracked. Ancestral God bounced away. The giant blade couldn't get close. Neither Ancestral God nor the 5-color giant blade could get close, and the force from Virtual Real Devil Master was inconceivably strong, which stunned Luo Feng, who was watching down there. Rumor had it that Universe Supreme Masters were restricted by the Universe operation, and thus, they could only show power that was slightly stronger than Universe Masters. How could they be that strong? Neither Ancestral God nor the Supreme True Treasure could get close. Virtual Real Devil Master, this is the original universe. Ancestral God shouted. Virtual Real Devil Master looked omnipotent. He disregarded the 5-colored giant blade and dove down. At the same time, a golden chain showed up in the space, and it bound the arm of Virtual Real Devil Master, making it difficult for him to hit down. No. Virtual Real Devil Master was terrified. Another green chain extended from space and entangled the other arm of Virtual Real Devil Master. A navy blue chain extended from space. Chains continued to come out of space, bearing down Virtual Real Devil Master. Damn it! Virtual Real Devil Master roared, exasperated. However, his force got weaker and weaker, and the chains stopped giving out power as he grew weaker. Virtual Real Devil Master looked down. Double-face Ancestral God, this is the original universe. You're not my match in Universe Ocean. Double-face Ancestral God looked up. Unfortunately for you, you're in the original universe now. Each of us 3 ancestral gods can outpower you. In the original universe, nobody can challenge us. We're the guardians of universe operation law, and we're given grace by the universe origin. Give up. Do you want to challenge the universe origin? Virtual Real Devil Master glared down. Double-face Ancestral God glared up. Good, Virtual Real Devil Master snorted. You'll learn the consequences in Universe Ocean. We never go to Universe Ocean, said Double-face Ancestral God. Virtual Real Devil Master clenched his teeth. The Ancestral God School couldn't roam the Universe Ocean, but it was sitting in the crown in the original universe. Little one, said Virtual Real Devil Master. He glanced at Luo Feng, who was in shock. You got lucky today. Virtual Real Devil Master surged much faster than light. He broke out of the 5-color Aurora Lake and disappeared. The shattered universe space went back to being peaceful, and nothing on Redbud Island was damaged. Other candidates only felt the space trembling. They had no idea what had just happened. Luo Feng stared at the sky. Both Ancestral God and Virtual Real Devil Master had disappeared. Then Luo Feng heard the voice of Ancestral God. Come here, Luo Feng. By the side of the railings of the pagoda, Luo Feng turned to look down. There, he saw, right in the middle of his courtyard, double-face Ancestor God. Ancestor God. With a flash, Luo Feng reached the side of the other party. Double-face Ancestor God was fair-skinned and benevolent-looking. As he looked at Luo Feng felt as though he were basking in a spring breeze, and he started to thank Ancestor God repeatedly. Thank you for coming to my rescue, Ancestor God. 5-color Aurora Lake enveloped the core ground of the entire Ancestral God School. When it suddenly disappeared, many islands, 8 Beast God Palace, guarding Beast God Palace, 72 General Continent, and many others were quick to notice its absence. When a predominating treasure like 5-color Aurora Lake went missing, wouldn't it consider that a major event? Even though everything returned back to normal very quickly, it still sparked an endless debate. The Ancestral God School had many peripheral members who normally lived on other islands. They were all discussing this proactively. At the same time, they were secretly sending news back to the powers behind them. 5-color Aurora Lake is a supreme true treasure. Barring a critical moment, it would be impossible to get it to unleash its full potential. Normally, just a little aurora is enough to annihilate enemies. For it to instantly disappear, 5-color Aurora Lake must be putting in its all and doing everything it can. Who could cause this? Who provoked 5-color Aurora Lake into retaliation at full might? Though they were peripheral members, the possibilities included Ju Feng Knight, who might be a candidate for the post of Heavenly General. But such individuals would definitely pledge their loyalty to their human race. Who would have provoked 5-color Aurora Lake? With Ancestral God School as the core grounds, the news was secretly and rapidly disseminated. The predominating treasure of Ancestral God School, 5-color Aurora Lake, was activated once, then it disappeared within an instant, but was recovered to original state within a fleeting moment. Something major must have happened. Pushed to such extremes, could it be a universe supreme being has barged its way into the core grounds of Ancestral God School? The other 8 of the top 9 powers of the universe were no fools. Each came to a conclusion quickly, especially the top 3 powers, the bug soldiers, the demons, and the automaton race, who were waiting quietly and expectantly. Upon enlisting the help of Virtual Real Devil Master, Father God of the automaton race had notified the demons and bug soldiers that he had invited a universe supreme being to take up the matter. It must be the killing of Luo Feng that incurred the wrath of the Ancestral God School. Ha ha! So long as Luo Feng is eliminated, with that hard stone's ability, it would be able to take its leave easily. News spread to the outside world rapidly, but Luo Feng was oblivious. He did not have an inkling of what was going on because Redbud Island was within the universe that was under the control of Double-Face Ancestor God, so the candidates on Redbud Island were unaware of the sudden, momentary disappearance and reappearance of the five-color Aurora Lake. What? Luo Feng could not suppress his shout of surprise. Ancestor God, you have been protecting me. Ha ha ha, Double-Face Ancestor God smiled and said, I was the undying demon staying next to you. I transformed into that appearance so no one on Redbud Island would discover my true identity. Images of an undying demon in the form of a two-headed white wolf immediately sprang up in Luo Feng's mind. That was him? If I were not staying next to you and you were to meet with sudden danger, how would I be able to come to your rescue in time? I couldn't have done it from my Ancestor God Palace. Double-Face Ancestor God smiled. Virtual Real Devil Master has extremely strong powers. He could appear on Redbud Island in an instant. If I had been at Ancestor God Palace, by the time I realized he was here, even if I did my best to rush here, I'm afraid I still would have been too late to save you from annihilation, or to save you from being controlled by another soul. Being controlled by a soul? Luo Feng's brow twitched. Based on what he knew, a Universe Supreme Being was merely one notch stronger than the strongest Universe Master. The difference was not all that far apart. Luo Feng's willpower and consciousness were at the Universe Master level. Furthermore, he had force armor to reduce attacks on his soul, and he had one of the components of his Supreme True Treasure Star Tower, Tower Pearl, to guard his soul. With those, he assumed he would not be that weak. Don't believe me? Double-Face Ancestor God said. He looked at Luo Feng and shook his head laughingly. He is called Virtual Real Devil Master. That virtual real part of his name comes from the fact that he possesses the skill of creating illusions which are identical to reality. Illusions? Identical to reality? Luo Feng was secretly in shock. The moment you fall into an illusion he created, you will still feel the universe laws in motion, you can still cultivate, and in the process of cultivation you can still master the skill of law comprehension. Everything is perfectly real. Double-Face Ancestor God smiled at Luo Feng. Of course, once you are able to break free from the illusion, you will realize that you have not undergone any change, only your willpower and memory will have some changes. Of course, the laws that you have cultivated within the illusion must be one of those that he personally knew of. If he didn't know the laws, he wouldn't have enabled you to cultivate. Luo Feng was stunned. Cultivating laws within an illusion? This bore a resemblance to the virtual universe. Actually, the virtual universe allowed countless life forms to enter at any one point in time, and within the virtual universe, any kind of law could be cultivated. There was almost no difference from the real world. A true super great being could clearly differentiate the virtual world from the real world without confusion. Only the ordinary humans who were weaker and who were immersed in virtual games on a long-term basis would confuse the real and virtual worlds as time passed. However, the moment one's willpower got stronger, the confusion would stop. There was a fundamental difference between the virtual universe and an illusion. The virtual universe was open and aboveboard, like another universe, the universe of consciousness. Once you fall into his illusion, you may feel as though a short instant in the actual, real world was equivalent to tens of thousands of years, or even more, in the illusionary world, Double-Face Ancestor God explained. Luo Feng was appalled and commented, could this time be used for cultivation? This would be a very smart way of saving time. No, Double-Face Ancestor God walked along the stone pavement encircling the pond and said, sustaining an illusion consumes a large amount of godly power. Besides, he has to give his best. Getting an ordinary human to fall into an illusion and sustaining it for a long time is easy. But getting a universe master to fall into an illusion and make him feel as though 10,000 years have passed within the blink of an eye. The amount of godly power needed is truly unbelievable. How can it be used for cultivation? Moreover, the path of your choice may not be familiar to Virtual Real Devil Master. His strongest ability is illusion. I have lived by your side for 62 years. Having observed you for so long, I can also judge that your willpower and consciousness must have already reached the level of a universe master. Your godly body is probably comparable to the special life forms that were one of a kind. Luo Feng was in great shock. How frightening. He had not engaged in any battle and was only observing, completely in the dark. After a long period of watching Luo Feng, Double-Face Ancestor God had been able to make a judgment about his level of power. Even Primal Chaos City leader teacher could only make a judgment if Luo Feng was in the primal universe. For a soul to kill you would be as difficult as trying to kill a universe master, said Double-Face Ancestor God. But Virtual Real Devil Master can achieve that. His ability to create illusions is horrifying. Given the willpower and consciousness of a universe master, at the very least, he would have to possess a top-tier soul-type true treasure in order to not be fearful of Virtual Real Devil Master. This is the strength of his ability under a certain amount of restraint upon being suppressed by the universe origins. A top-tier soul-type true treasure? Luo Feng held his breath. A top-tier soul-type true treasure was comparable to the value of a pinnacle true treasure. Among all the universe masters, a great majority did not own one. You have to know that among the universe supreme beings, he has the most frightening skills when it comes to illusions. Double-Face Ancestor God looked at Luo Feng. In the case of an ordinary soul-type true treasure, his blurry godly power can tear it apart any moment. As for a senior soul-type true treasure, they are also defenseless against him. These victorious moments are proved by his credentials. Luo Feng nodded and made sure he remembered all this information well. This information was considered confidential. For Double-Face Ancestor God to tell him all this was indeed an act of great kindness. Actually, for Double-Face Ancestor God to be willing to stay in solitude beside him for 62 years meant that, during the times when he gained fame, leading to him being hunted down by bug soldiers, demons, and the automaton race, Double-Face Ancestor God had already been living a secluded life beside him. Force armor can only weaken the force by one level. With Tower Pearl alone, is it not enough? Seems to me I must bring Star Tower with me at all times, Luo Feng told himself. The moment Tower Pearl returned to Star Tower, the latter would shrink and park itself within Luo Feng's godly body. Then, it would naturally be guarding his soul. Star Tower consisted of various functional components like attacking, soul type, flying palace type, sealing type, and many more. He might only have the soul type component, but with the entire Star Tower within his body, according to Luo Feng's assessment, it should be comparable to a pinnacle soul type true treasure. Or, at the very least, Luo Feng felt it would make a difference. Just as what Sitting Mountain guest said, with Star Tower, he would fear no one. The best form of defense would be to hide within Star Tower. Regardless of material or soul attack, Star Tower would be able to ward off everything. If he hid within it, even a Universe Supreme Master would not be able to do anything to him. But of course, doing so would only reveal the fact that he owned Star Tower, which would arouse the greed of the group of Universe Pinnacle great beings. There was no way one could be on guard against theft day in and day out. Once a Universe Supreme being started eyeing him, there was no way he could possibly remain within Star Tower all the time. Any moment of carelessness would spell danger. Next time around, I have to put Star Tower within my godly body, to guard and protect my soul. I have underestimated the Universe Supreme beings. It was said that a Universe Supreme being was only slightly stronger than the most powerful Universe Master, just a hit stronger. But I did not expect them to be so powerful. Seems like I have also underestimated the powers of Universe Masters. Luo Feng had always thought that after he became a Universe Knight, he would be able to compete head-to-head with a Universe Master. A sudden realization dawned on Luo Feng. Among Universe Masters, there were stronger ones and weaker ones, too. He could probably stand against the weaker ones. However, for the strong ones like Primal Chaos City leader, who was only a small fraction less powerful than Virtual Real Devil Master, judging from Virtual Real Devil Master's showcase of skills, the strongest of all top-tier Universe Masters was certainly much stronger than he was. The Supreme True Treasure Star Tower guards the soul, thought Luo Feng. Force armor protects the body. With a godly body more than 55,000 miles tall, even a Universe Supreme being should not be able to harm me. I have to hurriedly get Star Tower back. Luo Feng had gotten too complacent. The showcase of power by a Universe Supreme being this time around had sobered him up. Double-Face Ancestor God turned to look at Luo Feng. Word of you killing Flourishing Light Horde leader and Parachopper Knight has spread, especially when you turned up at Redbud Island. I proceeded to discuss your situation with two other Ancestor Gods. The bug soldiers, the automaton race, and the demons would stay away for the moment, but as time passed, we knew they would probably close in on you. Therefore, the second day after you arrived at Redbud Island, I started living in the palace next to your mansion. Thank you, Ancestor God. Luo Feng expressed his gratitude. This kind sentiment? He had to put it to heart. Kindness begot kindness. It has been a long time since a promising being such as yourself has turned up at the Ancestral God School, said Doubleface Ancestor God. Your potential is much stronger than Purple Knight. He smiled at Luo Feng, then added, we at the Ancestral God School hope that you will grow and mature to a stage where you are comparable to your teacher, Primal Chaos City Leader. At that time, the Ancestral God School will bestow you with the title of Guarding Godly Master. This video will end here.